Did you ever wonder how a journalist from a newspaper or a reporter from a radio station would record an interview in the late 60s or 70s while he was on the go gathering news for his station? Or did you wonder how the police recorded their examinations in the 60s or 70s? Here's the solution: the Uher Report reel-to-reel tape recorders.
The Uher Report reel-to-reel tape recorders were the first mobile devices for recording sound anywhere and everywhere in an easy way. They were first produced in 1961 and still used to the late 90s by many radio stations for taking interviews or sound recordings on the way. You can still find them today on eBay, and most of them still work fine. I think this is because of the massive metal case, the easy to maintain electronics, and the rugged mechanic. I have two of them from different time periods. It is not easy to find out the production year, so I had to guess it a little bit due to the design and the model. The first machine on the left is from approximately 1968. It is a stereo model with a 2-track tape head. These models were later improved, visible because of the addition to its original name, IC. This model is approximately from 1974, and the main difference between the older machine and this one is this tiny pulley on the left side, which brought more tension to the tape. All in all, these are the type of machines that you can find from different time periods. The Uher Report 4000 models are mono devices with a 2-track tape head, and they were the first you could receive in the 1960s. The Uher Report 4200 recorders still had a 2-track head, but they were designed for stereo recordings. The Uher Report 4400 models are able to make stereo recordings, but with a 4-track tape head, so the stereo recording time doubled. The fourth device type was designed for film recordings, the Uher Report Synchro models. They were used to synchronize the tape recordings to the pictures on a film recording. Last but not least, you have the Uher Report Monitor models, which were improved models for field recording. The main difference from these machines to all other mentioned machines is the additional tape head. This machine has 3 tape heads, the erase head, the record head, and a playback head, so that you are able to hear and control the quality of your recording while you record it to the tape. All models can be used with a power adapter on the normal power supply system, which can be laid into the machine or can be laid outside the machine if you connect it to the system with a special cable. If you want to record on the way, you are able to put some normal D batteries inside the machine or a special rechargeable battery. There is also an adapter for your car, so that you are able to play or record tapes inside your car or recharge the battery while you were on the road. All worked with a normal 1/4-inch tape on 5-inch reels.
But how much can you store on such a tiny reel of tape? I will explain it to you, but first I have to explain what the difference is between a 2-track and a 4-track tape head.
Standard reel-to-reel tape recorders use 1/4-inch tape for operation. This tape is recorded and played back by the tape head. So when you have a 2-track tape head, you can get 2 tracks on this 1/4-inch wide tape, track 1 and track 2. If you use it in mono, you will only need channel 1 for the recording, so that you can get 2 mono tracks onto the tape. You first have to press the button for channel 1 on your recording machine, so that you can record the first track. One in the direction from the beginning to the end of the tape, and after you flip the tape over, the head for track 1 is also on the other side of the tape, and so you are able to record the second mono track from the end to the beginning of the tape in the opposite direction. If you would like to make a stereo recording, you would have to use those 2 tracks both at the same time, which means you can only make one recording in one direction. This also means half of the maximum recording time. When you have a 4-track head, you are able to store 4 tracks on the same 1/4-inch wide tape, so that you can get 4 mono recordings or 2 stereo recordings. If you record in mono, this means you can record 2 programs from the beginning to the end of the tape. But let me show you that in detail. First, you select channel 1 on your 4-track machine and record the first mono program to track 1 on the tape. Then you flip it over without changing the channel and record the second mono program. This will go on the opposite side of the tape to track 4 from the end of the tape back to the beginning. After that, you flip it again and change the channel to channel 2 so that you can record the third mono program onto the track 3 of the tape. After that, you flip it over once more without changing the channel and record the fourth mono program onto track 2 of the tape. After all, you will get 4 mono programs onto one tape, and 2 of them are always in the same direction as you play back the tape, whether you play it from the beginning to the end or from the end to the beginning. This also means that you are able to choose between 2 programs while you are playing back the tape, whether program 1 and 3 from the beginning to the end, or program 2 and 4 if you play back the tape in the other direction. If you record in stereo, you will need 2 tracks for the recording, track 1 and track 3 when you record from the beginning to the end, and after you flip it over, you record track 2 and 4 in the opposite direction. This means 2 stereo programs fit onto one tape. On a standard audio cassette, this principle is used much the same. Okay, the tape is only half as wide as in a reel-to-reel recorder, which means an 8-inch instead of a 1/4 inch, but the only difference in recording is that you don't have this little gap between the tracks of the stereo recording on an audio cassette. An audio cassette uses the 2 tracks on the left side of the tape for the stereo recording from the beginning to the end, and the 2 tracks on the other side for the stereo recording from the end to the beginning of the tape. These buttons can be found on the real machines. First of all, the buttons which are used to control the tape, such as play, record, fast forward, rewind, pause and stop. Underneath this you have a little tape counter and a button to reset this. Near to it you have 2 VU meters, one for each stereo channel. These are used to calibrate the recording volume. The VU meters work only in record mode, so they are not broken when they don't show a thing while you play back a tape. Then you have the channel select switches to either record 1 channel in mono or 2 channels stereo. On the right side of the line you have the speed dialer, which changes the tape speed from 19 cm per second down to 2.4 cm per second. Down below you have the volume control, 2 controls for the record volume, and the microphone inputs. 2 special features are hidden in the record volume controls. If you pull out the control for channel 1, the VU meters were illuminated, useful if you record during the night. If you pull out the control for channel 2, you can see the remaining battery life inside the VU meter for channel 2. I usually power up these devices with the power adapter, and so the needle peaked.
Now, the most 5-inch reels had 270 meters of tape. The tape length in recording and playback time varies with the used tape speed, and on every Uher report you will find 4 usable speeds.
As I mentioned before, the Uher Report reel-to-reel recorders have all a little speed dialer for changing the speed of the tape. From left to right, you start with the highest speed and get to the lowest speed. Each speed was used for a different recording time and also a different purpose, because the slowest speeds can only be used for voice recordings because of their lower sound quality. The most people used 9.5 cm per second as their preferred speed, and so you were able to record 90 minutes in mono on a 2-track machine with 270 meters of tape, 45 minutes per side. In stereo you only will get half of the time because the tape only runs in one direction. If you would flip one of these tapes over, you would hear the recording in reverse. If you are proud to have one of the 4-track tape machines, you can double the time, which means you will get 90 minutes of full stereo recording and even 180 minutes of mono recording on 270 meters of tape. The highest speed of the machine is 19 cm per second, which was also used in many recording studios for mastering and cutting purposes. This speed is twice as fast as 9.5, and so the running time of the tape is half the time you would have by 9.5 cm per second. The other tape speeds are 4.7 cm per second and 2.4 cm per second. Even when a speed of 4.7 cm per second is used in today's audio cassette decks, the technological progress was not that far in the 60s or 70s to make this tape speed sound as good as an audio cassette. So the speed were only used for vocal recording purposes, for example the recording of telephone calls or the recording of an examination.
Many people ask me how they get the tape into the machine when it comes on a reel instead of an easy to insert tape cartridge like an audio cassette. I will show you.
First you put the full reel on the left side of the recorder. The trident fits into the middle hole of the reel and can be fixed after the reel is on, so that it won't fall off the machine while you're carrying it or rewind the tape. Then you put an empty reel on the other side of the machine. Now you pull a little bit of tape from the full reel and lay it over the metal guiding pins in the near of the tape head. When the tape comes to the right side, you place the end to the middle of the empty reel, hold it down with your finger and wind it up a little bit more till it tightens up itself.
Baby squirrel use a sexy motherfucker.
On the later Uher reports from the 70s, the IC models, they put up an extra tension controller for the better and smoother running of the tape, to reduce the wow and flutter. On these models you first put the tape around the tension controller, pull it over the guiding slots and then you can wind it up on the empty reel.
I know that some of you want to take a look inside of these machines. I'm not an expert on circuit boards, but I will show you how you can get to these and how the belts drive the mechanic.
On my Uher Report models there is only one screw on the back which holds the back cover of the machine. After unscrewing it, you can pull back the cover and lift it up. The circuit boards are covered by a black cardboard. You can pull it off by lifting the golden clamps. The machine is very maintenance friendly, so that each board can be accessed easily. To get to the mechanics, only unscrew one screw in the board and then lift it up. It is hinged to the machine, so you can flap it over and it will be held in place. After that, you can see the motor which drives two belts, one on each side. The belt on the left side is used for the winding of the tape, either forward or backward. The belt on the right side is used for the driving of the capstan, which controls the tape speed. It goes from the motor to the golden speed dialer. The dialer has different calibers, which are connected to the flywheel when you power on the device. Each caliber is a different tape speed. The last belt, which is covered deeply inside the machine, is used for the tape counter. After all, this is a nice and clean design for the hole inside, which made it very rugged and durable throughout the years. There is not much which can destroy this massive construction.
After all this theory, let's hear some music. I recorded 2 license-free music titles with different tape speeds on my youngest machine.
So once again I hook up my iPad to my mixer, turn up the high frequencies a little bit so that these were recorded a little bit clearer onto the tape, and connect the output of the mixer with a DIN adapter to the input of the Uher reel-to-reel recorder. I will use my Uher Report 4200 IC from the 70s, which had a general overhaul by the eBay vendor from which I bought it 2 years ago. To select the tape speed, I push the dialer to the desired speed. To make a stereo recording, I have to push both channel buttons down at the same time so that they are both enabled. For the calibration of the record volume, I press record and pause, play back the sample on my iPad, and turn the knobs for channel 1 and 2 of the stereo input till the loudest parts of the music hit the red part of the VU meter. After that, I rewind the sample playing on my iPad, release the pause button, and record the first test onto the tape. After I have recorded all test recordings, I rewind the tape, and connect the same DIN adapter over my mixer to the input of my digital recorder, so that you will be able to hear the original sound coming from this tape in the video. This is possible because the DIN outlet can be used as an input and an output.
Please notice that due to the audio compression of YouTube and the equipment you use at home for playback this video, it might not sound as good as I can hear it here over my hi-fi equipment. On my overhauled machine, the highest speed 19 centimeters per second does not work properly, so we'll start with 9.5 centimeters per second. But in my opinion, this is even better because the most users used this speed, because you have the full hi-fi quality with a good tape length.
Special thing in store. The light bulb inside my head says, get out and play, 'cause you never feel this way. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. My lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot or to be told. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. Slept in 'cause I don't care and didn't make the bed. Sip coffee on my couch. What can I do instead?
The both lower tape speeds were meant for voice recording only, for example, long examinations, discussions or interviews, but the sound is not high fidelity, so it sounds more muffled than the higher tape speeds. That's all for today's video. In an upcoming video I will show you how you can clean the device and how you can make new tapes for the device because you can't buy them anymore. And later on I will also show you how you can use the Uher Report inside your car. So stay tuned. I'm Dominik from DF Radio. Thanks for watching.